Well, boys, we are back for round two of our Christmas Day recap. We tried to do a podcast a day ago, and for some reason we had some recording issues that
technical issues.
But so we're gonna do round two. It's a little late, but so we're essentially gonna have the same discussion that we had.
Discussion. I'm Dave. He's Eddie.
Yeah. Dave's here. I'm Eddie. But it's good. Sometimes we need a little practice, Dad, so we can smooth out some of the kinks. So, okay, here we go, round two. Let's keep this one a little shorter than the 45 minutes we talked about yesterday.
Yeah.
Because, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So a big recap of Christmas Day. It's the first big pivotal day of the season, and it's a good time to do a check-in and see where some of these teams and see where everything's kind of shaking out, basically. Yep. So we're going to start with the first game of the Christmas Day slate. First of all the games were pretty great.
Yeah.
Well, 4 of them were. And, so we're going to go through them. So the first game, the Knicks beat the San Antonio Spurs in a nail-biter. It was a great game. Mikal Bridges went for 40. Victor Wembanyama had 41. He had 6 threes and had like 16 rebounds and like a bunch of blocks.
18 rebounds.
Yeah. So where do you want to start with this game? What did you learn more about the Knicks, even though they won, or about San Antonio in that game?
In this case, I would have to go with San Antonio because Wembanyama, I got it right.
You got it this time.
I know. Was magnificent, and like he is the future of the NBA in my mind. Like he is the up and coming big next thing. He reminds me. We talked about this, before, but he reminds me so much of Kareem, and in his body style and his play, and like everything, like his game. I love the guy, and he was amazing. And for the Knicks, you know what? Bridges had a great game. Brunson played great. Cat played great. The team is they're the third best team in the East, in my opinion, and statistically they are too as well in terms of wins as well. They're third in the East after Boston and Cleveland. So. That team showed that they could win in a pressure situation. The Spurs, they're not there yet, but you could see where that team is going to be headed, and it's all because of Victor, and they're looking really good. They need help. Obviously, he needs help in so many other facets of the game and positions, but. This team is going to be a force once he gets everything together.
Yeah, the Knicks. The Knicks are good. They did their job. I don't know anything. I'm with you. I don't know anything about them that I didn't know a couple days ago. Right. I agree. It's funny. Like we have talked about Cleveland a little bit. We did a thing on them when they started like 14-0 or something like that. But I feel like in general we haven't talked about them a whole lot for having the best record in the Eastern Conference.
Right.
And there's a lot to like about that team. They're really good. But for some reason, I still. Like, I don't know if it was a Knicks Cavs second round series, like in 7, I don't know. I kind of think I might pick the Knicks just because I think their ceiling is higher. I think it's a good matchup for New York too. But having said that, I mean, you can't take away from what Cleveland's done so far this season.
They've had an amazing season so far. Like, and kudos to them. Like, it's good coaching. It's sharing the ball. They're playing great. They're a great offensive team, but they're playing defense, and so that's, I think, a pretty amazing thing. And Donovan Mitchell has been mind blowing. So and Mobley's been great. Jared Allen's been great. Like their whole supporting cast, their bench has been great.
Yeah, so, and they don't even have like Max Strus yet. I mean, I think he just came back. He was hurt for a big chunk of the season. Just an aside here, you mentioned great coaching. Shout out to our boy Sleepy Mike Brown, who was fired yesterday.
Yes,
one of my favorite coaches. We've laughed at his expense quite a bit on this show. Just a complete witch hunt on that one. I mean, the guy won Coach of the Year last year.
I know.
And the team made the playoffs for the first time in like 14 years, even longer than that, like 18 years. Yeah. And then they start out a little slow this year because they have nobody that can play defense. Injuries, nobody that can play defense. And you blame Mike Brown, and it's like, all right, whatever. That team smells like a blow it up team at the deadline.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And you know what? Interesting Mike Malone's comments yesterday from the Denver coach about Brown. And like, oh man, he just he hates the owner of
Well,
Sacramento.
yeah,
He
because
thought it was a
he
hatchet
got fired
job.
in the same way.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Um,
He got fired the same way. Exactly.
right.
So
Yeah.
like
Pretty
Mike Brown's
funny.
on the airport. Mike Brown's in a cab going to the airport to go to
Going
LA
or to
to play a
Denver.
game for the Kings,
Oh
and
yeah,
he gets
yeah,
the call.
yeah. I know.
Like, what a
Well, I mean,
shitty way to fire a guy.
yeah, yeah. Well, shout out to Sleepy Mike. He'll get another job somewhere. Um,
I hope not.
I
I
hope
mean,
so for
hey,
the
come
sake.
on.
I hope. Hey, for the sake of the podcast, I hope
I
lands
mean,
on another.
I don't wish any ill will on Mike Brown, but he's a shitty coach, and he's always been a shitty coach.
Yeah,
So
but for the sake of our conversations, I hope he gets another job so that we can keep
yeah,
making fun of him. Um, Going back to this game, yeah, biggest takeaway: Victor Wembanyama at MSG on Christmas, 42 points, 18 rebounds,
right.
6-3. He took 16 threes, which is a lot of threes. Like, so I think
Yeah,
that the next step in terms of the maturation of his game is like,
efficiency.
well, shot selection would be
Yeah,
my number one. I mean, like I get it. He can knock him down, and he hit six of them. So he shot like, I guess, what's that, like 33%, something like
yeah,
that, which is right around his season average. He's got to be more consistent, take better shots from three. But
yeah.
having said that, I mean, he's playing on a team where he has to fire him up because nobody else can score. So,
No,
I don't. I
but it was a
think
fun game,
it
and the
was a
Knicks
fun
made it
game.
fun, and yeah,
The next game I want to talk about is the Philly Boston game because I think that was the most important win of the day for
yes,
any team. I think that it was a huge win for a Philly team that has been having a season from hell so far.
yep.
Nothing's gone right. They've been the subject of some pretty weird media stuff, to say the least.
Hmm.
Joel Embiid is getting laughed at by everybody under the sun. But on this day, they came to play.
Yeah,
And you got a good sense of kind of what the vision was when they brought Paul George into this thing. How
right.
impressed were you by Philly taking down Boston on the road?
I was very impressed. And I'm not a big Paul George fan, as you know, and I'm not a big Embiid fan, but I love Maxey. And you're right, when those three guys are on the floor, Philly's a different team. And so, they can put guys that were in positions before out of position back in their regular slots. So, everyone, the rotations all just make sense, and I think that really helped Philly. And also, they wanted it more, right? I mean, so it was more important to them than to Boston. Boston, for them, Boston was like, we don't care. But it's Philly. I mean, we'll meet them again, maybe in the playoffs, maybe, who knows? But they didn't give a shit about this game. So I think that's part of the reason why Philly won. And it probably saved Nick Nurse's job for a bit anyway. And
Well, I mean, look, I just think that if their season could have been saved, then they need wins like this to kind of
yeah,
kickstart things into gear, right? And like I thought that was a huge win. And if I don't know, we could look back in 4 months at that moment as the kind of turning point where the Sixers kind of figured things out a little bit. That
if they figure it out, like
right.
let's
No, of
give them a
course.
couple of games where they're playing together and see how it all goes out,
Yeah.
and then we'll make a decision
You're
because
right. You're right. But they are getting healthy and they're 7-3 in their last 10 games. So there's a little bit of like there's some
hope.
life there. That's all I'm
Yeah,
saying. There's some
yeah,
life. They still got a long way to go. I mean, you look at the standings in the Eastern Conference, and they're at 11th right now. They're 11 and 17,
yeah.
but they're only 4 games out of the sixth seed, right? So
Hmm.
it's like that, and we're only a third of the way through the season.
Hmm.
So
Also, keep in mind though that Boston didn't have Holiday,
yeah, of
and
course, right. Like Boston have Drew Holiday, blah 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 blah. But still,
yeah,
it's a huge win for the Sixers on the road. And again, like you said, when they're healthy, it's like, oh, okay, so now Kelly Oubre is not playing 40 minutes a game. Now he's playing 20 minutes a game, which is what
which
he
you
should
should.
be playing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. So no, just something to flag there on that Philly win. It kind of
Hmm.
made me go, because early in the season, I actually like I kind of was in on this Philly thing with Paul George. I think on paper it made sense. Now,
Mm.
obviously, they've been riddled with injuries, and
And Paul George,
Joel Embiid honestly has been
right? Yeah,
sinking this ship, but
yeah,
he was trying in that Christmas Day game, and
yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I think Philly's going to be an interesting team come playoff time, depending where they land, because you think, okay, for them, obviously, like you can kiss the 1 seed or the 2 seed goodbye.
Yeah.
But like right now, like I think their goal is like let's just get into the 6 seed, avoid the stupid play-in tournament, and
Hmm.
play whoever we play at three, and make
Hmm.
sure that Embiid's healthy and Paul George is healthy and Maxi's healthy. And you're saying we think
Yeah.
that we can beat anybody when we're at full strength. Now, whether or not that's true remains to be seen. But
We'll see if it and if they're all healthy, they could probably, they might beat the Knicks if that's the matchup in the
I don't
third.
think they would beat the Knicks. But I think, well, I think could they beat the Knicks? Yes.
Yeah.
Um, uh,
I mean, right now, if everything holds in place, the Knicks are 21-10 right now. So if everything holds in place, the Knicks probably will keep that third slot, right? So,
yeah,
um, who knows?
yeah. Okay, let's move on to the. I think we were going to talk about Dallas and Minnesota for a little bit.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, by the way, you just froze
w
for a second there, so we're gonna have to be careful. We're gonna have to watch this, make sure we're not
yeah,
freezing. But
yeah. I saw
yeah,
that too.
I think it was again similar thing. It was a good win for Minnesota, and
Hmm.
they've been bad this year. Anthony Edwards was fantastic in that game.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
Dominant performance by Edwards, and that was the difference in the game. They lost Luca. Dallas did in the early in the game, and so that kind of boned them, and it was just Kyrie and a bunch of scrubs. Um, well, I like Lively, and they got some players, but
you're not in on the Dallas thing, are you? You don't think Dallas is good?
I don't buy them.
You don't buy
I mean, I
Dallas.
like Luca and I like Kyrie, and well, no, I don't like Kyrie, but I like the matchup
I like
of I like their backcourt, but as a complete team, I don't see it. I don't see them as a championship team, Eddie. Like,
yeah. I mean, they're 20-11 right now. They're in the fourth seed in the Western Conference,
I
behind
mean, like that, like they're similar to the Knicks, right? Like the Knicks are 21-10. Dallas is, almost
yeah, they're
that.
right. They're right there in the thick of things.
Yeah,
Obviously they're behind OKC, Memphis, and Houston.
yeah.
So, who we talked about Houston a lot. Memphis, we haven't talked about much. Much. Memphis is the two seed right now, and they just kicked the Raptors' ass the other night. Oh
Oh,
boy, that was a
oh,
shellacking.
yep,
They're really good. They're
yeah.
really
They're
good.
really good.
We haven't talked about them, and we will. We've been saying we will for a couple weeks, but don't
Yeah,
worry.
yeah.
Memphis is on our radar. They didn't play on Christmas, but we got to give them their flowers, man. That I think that like that team's going to be a problem
Yep.
in come playoff team. I mean, like they're just scoring so many fucking points, man.
I know.
Every game, you go their game log: 144, 128, 114, 155, 132. I mean, like I don't know what they're here. I'll look it up. What offensively they got to be. Yeah, they're fifth in the league in offense and they're fourth in the league in defense.
Well, there you
So,
go.
I
That's why
mean,
they're number two.
we always say if you have a top five offense and a top five defense, that's the makings for a good playoff team.
Yeah,
And that means you're not one dimensional. You play both sides of the court, and
that's right.
like
No,
um,
that team is solid. That team is solid.
they're
Um,
finally healthy for the first time in 2 years.
yeah.
But anyway, back to this Dallas Memphis, Minnesota thing. It was a nice win for the T Wolves. I still don't think they have it this year. I just
No,
think it's a different team, and I'm not worried about Dallas.
no.
Not at
I
all.
agree. I agree. Let's move on to the Lakers.
Well,
And
let's hold. I want to talk about them last. What
okay.
did do you want to talk about that stupid goofy Denver Phoenix game
Yeah,
or
just a bit. Yeah.
okay? Well, what were your takeaways from that?
Well, I mean, I'm not a big Suns fan. I'm not a big Denver fan either. But Jokic is amazing. Like, he's still like, I think the
Yeah, but they
best player in the
lost.
world.
But they lost.
I know they lost,
Okay.
but he's still the best player in the world, I think, overall. Um, he's got no help though. Did Murray play well or did Murray play?
Murray played. He had 13 points, so he did
Yeah,
not play
see,
well.
yeah.
But I mean,
Um,
look, we talked about Denver. We've talked about them quite a bit this year, and
yeah,
um, it's just I think their window is closed, man. I mean, Murray's clearly not the same guy that he was during that title run,
no,
and the bench is it's just not good enough, right?
no.
Um,
Christian Braun, he's
Christian
okay, but
Brown, yeah, like Julian Strother. I mean, like,
yeah,
do you trust these guys taking threes in the corner in Game 6 of a playoff series? Like,
no,
it's not. It wouldn't be my first choice if I was a Denver Nuggets fan, right?
right.
And like, you look at those guys make it like that was Bruce Brown and KCP and even like a Jeff Green. back
Yep.
then, right? And like it was just a little bit of a different rotation.
Yep.
And I just think that once you start losing guys like that and the cracks start to show, it's really hard to pave over them.
Yep.
And I mean, Russ has given them some nice minutes off the
He
bench.
has actually, and I'm not a Westbrook fan, but his numbers have been
Yeah,
great
neither
this
am
year.
I. But yeah, he's been playing well for them. But
Yeah.
it's like, whatever. Like at
Yeah.
this point, Russell Westbrook is not going to move the needle at this point in
No.
his career.
No.
Um,
No, that team is good, but not a championship team anymore.
but they
And
still,
you're right.
I'm still
Their
gonna.
window has closed.
It
It
has,
definitely has
but I
closed.
still think that like I wouldn't want to play them in a 7 game series. Like,
Yeah.
like let's say if you're Houston, right? And you and Denver's like the 7 seed, which is right around where they'll probably finish this year. Like,
Yep.
I don't know, that's a tough matchup for the Rockets in the first round to go up against the best player in the world and a team
Yeah.
with championship pedigree, right? Like,
True.
so there's a couple young teams at the top of the Western Conference, and I don't know, I think Denver could potentially cause some
Win
issues.
a round. Hey, they could win a round, but they're
Yeah,
not going to win
no, no,
anything more than that.
no, I don't think because they're not going to beat OKC.
No.
And I don't think they would beat Dallas either.
No.
And they definitely wouldn't beat Boston. So,
No. No.
yeah. All right. And Phoenix, any thoughts on the Suns?
No.
All right, fuck it. Fuck Phoenix. Well, okay. Well, no, I mean, look, clearly the best game of the day was the Golden State Lakers game with these two
Yeah.
goofy old teams that are kind of in the similar spots to Denver and Phoenix, honestly. Like they're
Yeah.
both just kind of
They're
um,
like, I mean, with the win, I
middle of
think
the
the
pack.
Lakers are 17 and 13,
Yeah.
and with the loss, the Golden State Warriors are 15 and 14. They're almost the same
They're all in that
record.
same sort of like 6 to 11 range in the West.
Yeah.
And but like look, the Lakers, it was a great game. It was a lot of
Yep.
fun. It was a big win on the road. I mean, AD gets hurt in the first quarter, he's gone. The
Yep.
Lakers still outplay him. And then Steph just goes bonkers in the fourth quarter,
Oh
hits a
my
bunch of
God.
threes. There was a couple great ones, but the two were just ridiculous. The one in the corner,
The one in the
um,
corner, yeah,
where he kind of
and he
like
caught the
caught it.
ball,
Yeah. He
and he
caught
didn't
it,
even put it
kept it
down.
up, never brought it down into the shooting pocket, and just
Yeah.
kind of did like this double clutch three over LeBron. That was a crazy shot.
Unbelievable.
Right. And then the one to tie the game was even crazier. It
Yeah.
was like a 30 footer.
Step back 30 shot
Right.
that was
Like
just,
just
just crazy.
and then Austin Reeves bails the Lakers out with
Yep.
a game-winning layup to win the game. He was great.
Yep.
LeBron was great.
Yep. Max
Steph
Christie
was
played great.
Max Christie was good. It was a good win by the Lakers, and
Yep.
it's just really fun to see LeBron and Steph doing it at this stage in their careers.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Steph is probably, I mean, there's no denying Steph Curry is the greatest shooter in the history of the NBA. Would you not agree?
I don't know. I still hold stock
Really?
in Jason Capone's career, but no, but
Oh,
like
I
look,
forgot about Capoto. You're right. He's the greatest shooter ever in the history of the NBA.
the
Steph Curry.
Capono
Come on.
Dragon. Come on, man, love
It's
that guy,
crazy.
the
It's
Capono
just crazy.
Dragon. No, look, you're right. He is obviously, and
And LeBron is probably maybe the greatest player, all-round player ever.
yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. You're gonna piss off some Jordan fans by saying that, but
And I'm going to piss some Magic Johnson fans, which I am, and Kareem fans, and which I am, and Kobe fans, which I am. So yeah, there's a lot of discussion for me to say that, but and I'm not a big LeBron, never have been a big LeBron fan,
what?
but I mean, there's no denying he's 40 years. No, you know that. I mean, I loved the kid when he was, when he came into the league, but I hated him when he was when he was on Cleveland. I hated him when he was on Miami. Like, and I hated him when he joined the Lakers. I'm not a
How
big
can you say
LeBron
that?
fan.
He won your
I'm
franchise a
glad that he helped them win a
championship.
championship in
He
the
won you a
bubble. That was great.
championship.
I know,
You're
and it's
so
great, and I
spoiled.
appreciate it. But do I
Whatever. I
love the
love
guy?
LeBron, man. He's the
Anyway,
greatest player of the generation, and he
I have huge respect, Eddie. Huge
you're
respect.
just talking out of your ass, man. LeBron's great. I love LeBron, and I mean the block he had was sick.
Oh my God,
The
that was
guy's
amazing.
the guy's 40, man, and he's
I
still
know.
doing this. Now, the interesting thing about this game, and we talked about this yesterday, we're going to talk about it again, is that it was an interesting sort of microcosm of kind of what is good and what's not going so well, I should say, in the
Hmm.
NBA these days. Because
Hmm.
there's been a lot of talk this season about ratings. Obviously, ratings have been down, and the
Hmm.
league is freaking out because they're losing out to football. right? Nobody's watching these games.
Hmm.
I think fan engagement is at an all-time high. Like people
Hmm.
follow the league on social media. People watch the breakout clips and the highlights and the dunks. People tweet about it.
I think the NBA Cup helped generate that interest in December.
A little bit, but like they were running away from the NFL
Yeah,
schedule,
I
right?
know.
And they were doing everything they could to avoid going up against the NFL, right?
Yeah.
Now I will say the Golden State Lakers game was on. It was the highest rated Christmas game in years. I think in
Hmm.
like 10 years,
Hmm.
right? So they did pretty good numbers on Christmas,
Hmm.
but the problem with the league right now is that nobody's watching, and the two main draws in terms of like casual fans watching the league are still LeBron and Steph Curry. And
Hmm.
to me, that's a big issue because
Hmm.
like LeBron and Steph aren't going to be around anymore. So like
Yeah.
in 5 years, what are they going to do, right? Like, I'm sorry, but like Jason Tatum versus Victor Wembanyama just does not have the same kind of
Well,
pull.
well, I don't know, maybe, but I mean, both those guys are fairly young, particularly Wembanyama. But I mean, yeah, I mean, there's an interest because they're both really good players, and it goes in waves, Eddie. You know, like every generation. Anthony Edwards is probably the next. He's the closest guy in the league to me to Kobe. So in terms of his style of play, so if he gets a following and generates that interest, he's one of those guys. Luca, of course, has
Yeah,
foreign appeal. So does Wembanyama. I
I get
mean,
it. I get it, Dad. I get it. But again, like you're naming all these guys that I think like you're looking at this through an NBA, a hardcore NBA fans lens, right? Like we both are, right? And like yeah, you just like all these guys they're great players, but they don't have the larger than life characters or personalities that like not just me and you would know, but like moms and girlfriends or grandmas or grandpas or people that don't not know the NBA would turn around and go, "Oh, that's LeBron James on TV," right?
hmm
Like
hmm
there's a level of sort of icon or
Yeah,
fame.
but part of that is the body of work, right? So
Of course, yes, but I mean, LeBron was famous when he was in high school, man, right?
yeah, I
And like
know.
that's my point. Like there's no guy like that waiting in the
Cooper
wing.
Flag.
Well, maybe you might be
The
right
hype.
about that.
You're talking about hype. I mean, LeBron had such hype. He was, like you say, he was hyped up in high school. Cooper Flag has been hyped up, and he doesn't, he's only played a
But it's
couple of
not
games
just
in
hype though.
college.
It's not just hype. Because like Steph was like a seventh round pick, right? But then when he
Right,
started doing the things that he could do on the court, he completely changed the way that people look at basketball, and
right.
this whole flood of young fans kind of just gravitated towards him in a way that like it's very rare for a player to capture that, right? And
Hmm.
like and Steph and LeBron, and I think Durant is probably number third on this list, but
Hmm.
Steph and LeBron are the two defining players of the last decade, basically,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Like if you go back to 2014, 2013, 2014, like once Kobe was too old, it's been Steph and LeBron. Those are the two iconic players of the
Yeah,
generation, right?
yeah.
And I worry that there's nobody to grab that mantle. And I don't think the league is doing a good enough job.
Well, you might be right about that, but I do think there are players out there, as I mentioned, and we haven't seen them fully blossom to that point yet. But I think there's a couple of players that could achieve that, like Edwards, like Tatum. Uh, maybe there's somebody, Wembenyama. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
I
like,
don't
look,
know.
and Wembanyama is clearly the guy that I think it could be that next guy,
He's going to be the face of the league for the next 10 years.
but he's not an American, which is like,
I don't think that matters.
I think it matters. I think it matters. And also, like, why is the league burying him at noon against the Knicks? Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I guess it is Madison Square Garden,
Well,
but
that's it. I mean, there's a history there with
of course.
At MSG at noon. They got to be the first game because it starts
I
on
know,
the
but
East
why is
Coast.
Victor the one that's like I like and again it's
Well,
interesting because like the league is basically saying we know that LeBron and Steph are still our biggest
yeah.
national pulls. So we're
So they
gonna put
want
them
big
in.
numbers. They want big numbers in at the early game because it's the Knicks and MSG, and B, it's Wembanyama, who's the
Well, no,
hottest
no, no.
young
I'm saying
kid.
I'm saying they want big numbers in the 8 o'clock slot because that's the prime time slot. That's the
Yeah, but
slot
they
that.
want big numbers everywhere, so that's
Well,
why they matched them up.
I know they want big numbers everywhere, but there's a reason why it was Steph and LeBron who are both 500 teams, right?
Yeah,
Playing at
yeah,
8 o'clock. It's because
yeah,
it's Steph and LeBron, right? And
yeah.
what happens? That game is the highest rated Christmas game, right? And because the league needs games like that to be able to point to and say, oh, don't worry about our ratings, guys. We just had the highest rated Christmas game in 10 years. We're not scared
Mhm.
of the NFL. We're fine, right? But it's like the fact that they have to go to Steph and LeBron, who are both pushing 40, it's a concern, right?
I mean, I guess. I mean, hey, listen, the NBA is a really healthy league. They're the most progressive in terms of social media and social justice and
In
all
some
that
ways,
stuff.
in some ways, but I think that's
But there, nobody and no other league, even MLB, like no other league in the history of sports, is going to touch the NFL. For they're just way above. There's just no way. Now, having said that, the NBA has a lot of success, and they're probably the second best league in terms of eyeballs and stuff, and money and TV contracts, and I mean they're doing really well.
in a lot of ways they are doing
So
really well. In a lot of ways they
yeah,
are
they
doing
are.
really well.
They have a huge global footprint.
Yeah.
Like so that's really great. In China, in all over the place. I mean the World Basketball Championships, the Olympics are really contested. I mean, exciting about all the different countries. You look at Canada. Canada is. We didn't medal, but we should have medaled in the last Olympics in
We're not going to
Paris,
talk
and we've
about
got
Canada in the
a
Olympics.
kick-ass team.
That
So
was a big old flop by Canada in the Olympics, unfortunately.
yeah.
Come on. They
But
lost in the
anyway,
quarterfinals.
so hey, I'm not worried about ratings. I'm not worried about who's the next wave of guys. They'll be fine. The NBA will be fine. That's my opinion.
Yeah, and you're not wrong about this because people had these same discussions in the late '90s when when Jordan retired, and Kobe was still young. LeBron hadn't showed up yet, and there was like a weird period in the league where the ratings went down. People thought and then there was the casual racism aspect of it where people thought the league was getting like too or too
It's a black
ghetto
league.
and right and the hip hop influence and
Mhm.
and like those sentiments are still exist, right? Like it's just the language has changed. Now the league is too
Mhm.
woke, right, or whatever, and so there's always going to be that tinge of casual racism that's going to affect the NBA. But
Mhm.
and what happened during that time period, right? Like LeBron shows up in '03, Kobe ascends to superstardom, and the '03 draft class was huge, right? Obviously, you got Wade coming in, Carmelo, all these new hotshot young superstars, and then that comes into Durant and Westbrook, and the league rebounds, right?
Mhm.
I do think there's a ton of talent in the NBA, but I just there's no transcendent character that that can bring in those kind of crazy numbers. I think on a primetime matchup like LeBron and Steph, and that to me
Yeah.
is an issue because that the league is going crazy trying to figure this shit out, right? Like why is nobody watching our games yet? Our popularity has grown.
You're freezing up.
Okay. Well, maybe we should cut this short then. But yeah, anyway,
Go back.
like,
Go back. Go back. You froze there.
okay, you ready?
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. Like, so I don't know. The league is freaking out about this, man. So, anyway, it's a real thing. But like I said, it's fun seeing LeBron and Steph on the court
Mhm.
together. It's probably not going to happen very often, or very, very more. How should I say? Very many more times. There we go.
Mhm.
Um,
And the ironic thing is that there was rumors about a month ago that Steph and LeBron were going to go. LeBron was going to go to Golden State, basically, and Golden State turned down the deal because part of the deal was that Golden State would have to take Bronny with them, and they didn't want Bronny, so that deal was killed. But that would have been fun.
I don't think it
Bron
would
and,
have
and
changed
Steph on
anything.
the Warriors.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it would have changed anything, to be honest with you.
Probably not, but
I think the Warriors would still be like a 17 and 15 team or whatever they are right now.
yeah, and the Lakers would be even worse. So
Wow.
there you go.
Yeah. All right, Dad. Let's hope this one worked.
Yeah. Keep your fingers crossed. And
Um,
so, what's your prediction? This is coming out of the Christmas games. We still have yet to get to the All-Star break, and then after that, it's a grind to the end of the season. But what are your predictions?
Well, I'm not. I'm going to go with not Mike Brown for Coach of the Year. Uh,
Smart.
no, I think MVP right now. I'm going to go with Shea.
Yep.
Um, Finals and title predictions, whatever. I'm going OKC over Boston in 7.
I as well. I as well. Me as well.
You as well. All right,
Oh,
Dad. All right.
you're freezing again.
Yeah, I know. Well, we're gonna end it here because I'm a little worried about this. So yeah,
Okay.
okay. When freezing again, we're gonna save this podcast. You have
All right.
OKC over Boston. I have OKC over Boston.
All right. Me
I'll
too.
see you in the new year. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Peace.